Alright, so you want to know how to do recoil like me? Well, I do it in a very terrible fashion that nobody else does, so why don't I show you? The weirdest part about my recoil is I start by just animating an idle. You see, the guy isn't shooting, he's just kind of waving his gun around. That's intentional, because I don't add the recoil as he's moving, or as I'm animating all this. What I do is I typically, well, first of all, let me go here and edit all these frames to have that. It's also worth noting I put the gun into a symbol so I can pick each frame I want to use. A lot more helpful than you'd think. So, despite this looking terrible, here's what I do. We go over, we grab a muzzle flash. If I haven't, there's one. So I grab a muzzle flash. New layer. Let's see when we want him to shoot. So this is an MP5, so it's an SMG, so it has a decently high rate of fire. Not the highest in the SMG world, so what I'll do is I'll get our nice muzzle flash resized here for 9mm. Place it on the end. 1, 2, 3. We add a second. We'll just have him do a 3-round burst. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. And then the final shot. 1, 2, 3. 4. 4 gone. So we have the muzzle flash here. That indicates when we're shooting. So I'll also quickly add like the tracers, you know. I don't think 9 is that big. I think I'd do 1.85 for 9mm. Somewhere around there. Let's go ahead and add the tracers, which are just, you know, lines telling you where the bullets go. Boom. So then we actually do the recoil. Okay, so this is the weird part. So now that we have this frame is completely untouched. We want this to be as is. The next frame, what we do is we look, when we move this, you'll see that little gray, like where it was. Well, we want to move it to any position, like let's say right here where the hand right there lined up. Then we rotate it. We do it as 3. We set it to frame 3 where it's starting to open. We do the same thing, but I usually do, depending on the gun, you can either have the second frame go further than the last one, or you can have it go a shorter distance but rotate more. You can experiment with it however you want. Next frame. Well, we end up with that really sort of jerky sudden recoil. And I probably should have added another frame to the firing, but that's okay. Let's actually set that to 4 and this to 5. Boom. So then we keep doing that. Do however many variants you want to do. Set this to frame 4, set this to frame 5, boom. You don't necessarily have to put too much thought into it once you're used to it. I don't really put too much thought into it, and you may also need to undo it a few times and reanimate, however much you need to. Now on the final frame of recoil, what I typically do is I have a bit of extra movement just to ease back into the fact that it's going back into the position that we had. And then what you end up with is this. That's way too high of a fire rate. I kind of fucked up on that. But otherwise, you have this basic sort of sudden recoil. And that's how I like to do all of my guns. I do pistols like this, SMGs, rifles, whatever. Very few guns do I actually just straight ahead animate it. Very few. Let that play a few times. And yeah, I will not show you how to animate bullet casings because you should be able to figure that out